Welcome to another edition of What the Fuck, Happenings YouTube, Atheist Community, and Stick and Fun. Yeah. Another Sunday. Easter. Ugh. Ugh. I feel like Easter. I feel like something stale. Anyway, it's a good night last night, Stickam. Metamorph was in the room early, and, we had a nice conversation about how, pathetically stupid the human race is, and, so it was good. Just kind of validated the point that, the argument's been made, it's been said, there's no real counter-argument except I want, or I feel, or some other kind of mush. Life is fundamentally a replicating molecule. We're just blighted with all these emotional mechanisms, these need mechanisms that keep us in the game as individuals, and somehow we just keep extending that onto another generation, because something hatched us and raised us that we think that's our job. Yeah, well, that's how they did it, so I'm going to do it. Just redundantly playing the game. And, a big giant percentage of the population doesn't play the game. I mean, they step away from that bullshit, and they don't procreate. They don't build a life around that. But they can't stop the game by their behavior. They have to stop the people who keep making pieces to play the stupid game. So anyway, I've already made the argument over and over and over and over. It doesn't matter. Just, life is just pathetically insidious. And, the closer you are to being in the dungeon, being in the hard places, the more obvious it is, of course. The better you feel, the hungrier you are, the more you're in the battle, you see this stuff flying around and you're just catching it and you're throwing it and you're catching and throwing. The more you're playing, the less your brain is going to be preoccupied with things like purpose and mission and all that other stuff because you're in the game. And it's as soon as you slow down a little bit, as soon as you stop spinning in the wheel, you can start looking around and seeing what the thing is made out of, and that's when it's, you have to draw your conclusions. You have to create your understanding in those moments and kind of try to take that with you to the better places. I have the advantage where, I've always been a little uncomfortable. I haven't had a whole lot of times in my life where I felt really comfortable, like everything was going to be okay. I was always a bit of a worrier and a fretter, and so getting caught up in it was never a problem for me. It was always the lack of momentum. But really, it's not about your psychology. This is a philosophical point, and it should be able to be made, to any human being, no matter what they're feeling. Even if they're in perpetual bliss, they should be able to imagine in their head those circumstances where bliss is not to be found, where comfort is not to be found, where they watched or they saw some horror, some tormented little animal half smashed by a car or something, and if you haven't seen that kind of shit, you really haven't seen what life is at its core, the brutality of it. One of the cats I feed got run over this week, and I've seen the cat every day for 8 or so years, and 7, whatever it is, and just in a day it's gone, and the whole. It's just stupid, and it's probably better off, because all it did was fight with other cats and get itself beat the shit kicked out of it, and infections, and it was just always living just to regain its strength again, so it could go back into the war and fight again and get the shit kicked out of it, and then struggle to survive, and then get strong again, so it could go back out and kick the shit out of something else. And it's just an insidiously stupid mechanism. But anyway, that's a video. It's really not a what the fuck, sorry. But there really isn't what the fuck. There's just nothing to talk about. Everything's just so not interesting. I'm sorry. Everything's just so not interesting. And what else is... There's just not much to say. I mean, I did do a couple of videos this week. Some of them not too bad, I suppose. And did a couple of those TED Talk things, but they're not too interesting. I mean, I'm really disappointed. Actually, they're just almost horrible. They're almost insufferable. They're almost hard to watch. What else? Yeah, distracted by a lot of shit. So yeah, it's not a good time for me. But it's nice weather and all that crap. So hopefully I'll recover. I'll gain my strength back and then get back into the war. It's just, ugh, it's for what? So quite dismal. Dismal, I say. Yeah, I really can't think of much that's going on. Amazing Atheist made some TJ Does Life videos, but they really weren't too good. Not very interesting. And the one concept that was a little interesting was fetish cannibalism. I thought that was kind of bizarre. Cannibalism as a fetish. I just really can't see how you do that. I mean, cannibalism, I got no problem with, eating dead humans. But, how you turn that into an experience of some other kind, more than just something where you're just getting food, I don't really get. Sorry, a little bit of wind. So, I probably need to talk louder, such. Yeah. Anyway, what else? Yeah, nothing occurs to me. Yeah. It's kind of just a dead zone. Just this still dead swampy sea of YouTube. And there just is, little bubbles of stuff, and you think something's going on there, and you move the seaweed away and say, well, nope, nothing there, though. I mean, it's kind of funny. I mean, places you think there would be a ton of life, or sometimes just, I guess they have so much bacterial life or some other kind of life that nothing else can live in there. And so they're kind of sterile, even though they have all this, they have all that fertility, they can't do anything with it. That for a brief moment came up in Stickham again, the whole idea of what, how probable life is in the universe. And, it just seems, the more I think about it, the more I think about what life is doing and how there's nothing else doing anything like it. There's no other piece of chemistry that's even come close. And, in any other place in the universe that we know of, every other place we look, any rock we turn over, all we find is one DNA molecule's ancestors. There's no other DNA, there's no other NEA, there's nothing. There's nothing that's coming close. So the more sensible argument is that this is a product of some sort of bizarrely unusual, not common chemistry. And that's even assuming the first, just getting to a plant-style organism, let alone getting through all the other stages of evolution that might be even more preposterously unlikely. I mean, we really could be the product of a sequence of, preposterously unlikely events in terms of somebody winning, 10 lotteries in a row or something. Just something that you just can't even calculate or ponder how it would seem like that just is not going to happen. So anyway, I mean, those kind of perfect storms just are too, rare. Yeah, and you can always add one more element and just make it that much more improbable. Just add one more element, one more element, one more element. All you need is one more variable to multiply the whole thing into ludicrous numbers. So anyway, that's a little consolation, I suppose, is the fact that at least this stuff isn't likely common. But look what it's made out of. It is just this consuming thing. These plants consume the sunlight, put it in a little battery form. The other organisms steal the battery juice, They go roaming about with their bigger batteries inside their body, and other animals go to steal those batteries, that energy from them. I mean, it's all just an energy theft game. And here we have all these complex tools and attributes just to play a game where all you're doing is basically stealing batteries from each other. It's like a little bunch of, it's like making little robots and throwing them in an arena, and the game is the robot wins, whoever can open the compartment and steal the batteries out of the other robot. And that's all that's going on here. We just have a toolkit designed to go into the arena and steal batteries. And we do it in this gang warfare way, where we have a little social network, a little family clan. And we go into the world and bash things to bits and steal their shit. Or we can cultivate these planty things and steal their fruit. Find our way to gain the thing that'll push us into the future, that'll make us more numerous than the other stuff, and that's all it's about. Steal enough batteries, then you have longer life, you have greater potential in the world, you can make more copies of yourself and keep them running if you have some sort of constant way to keep stealing batteries. Keep getting your piece of that sun. Anyway, so that would probably make a good video, but I don't know what's doing and what the fuck either. But again, there's just nothing, there's just not much going on in the world. I mean, they had the atheist convention and blah, 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 and, nothing profound was spoken, nothing, gripping, nothing new. Even some really old retarded arguments were had. Stuff that we shouldn't even be playing out anymore. Shouldn't even be indulging in. Obscure, obtuse, bizarre philosophies that argue about, well, what if this reality isn't real? Or some other kind of crap. Like, we can't know anything for sure. And like the standard is, you have to know everything for sure. We throw people in jail for their entire life, and we're not for sure. We're just beyond reasonable doubt. That's a good enough standard. And there's no reasonable doubt that this reality is not a matrix. That the detail of it is too extreme, too much for it to be a matrix. You can't have quanta, in the matrix. Realistically. There would have to be somehow, it'd have to be illusionary, and then you'd be able to detect that it was an illusion. There'd have to be a flaw in the geometry of your holodeck, so to speak. You couldn't take a magnifying glass to it because you're going to see the pixels. You're going to see that it's a generated reality. So it wouldn't. You couldn't take scientific tools into the matrix because the fakeness of it. You're going to be able to scrape at the surface of it and find it. But anyway, that's a whole different philosophical kind of argument. Whether there's a logical proof, so to speak, of non-matrixiness of the universe. But then you'd have the whole argument of why they would make who would create a perfectly, brilliantly constructed three-dimensional matrix of crap. I mean, there's no logic to it. Why would you have a matrix where there's every appearance of suffering? And certainly my consciousness, if it's an illusionary consciousness in a matrix, why would it be enduring these harshly negative experiences? I would be clearly capable of saying that would be stupid to generate that much unpleasantness. It's beyond what's necessary to play a good game. But again, it comes down to a game. There is no good game. There's just stupid games. There's just games that are less wasteful, less inefficient. I mean, that's the whole thing. It's all just made out of this relative concept that you're not really chasing an absolute good. You're just chasing the minimizing of a negative. And that's all life is really made out of. It's not that there's anything really positive. There's only the negative first that gives you a perception of positive relative to that negative gravity. So the negative is the real force of the universe. The dark side is the machinery of the universe. And the only light side is just escaping the dark. It's that pitiful. So anyway, what else? Is there anything else? Really? Sorry. It's another not great video, but yeah, I did. The gray guy has posted a few videos. They're all kind of interesting. But he did one cutting a few clips out of it. He calls it maggots, I think. And it takes a few clips out of that speech video I did that was pretty good. So that was a pretty good video. And yeah, whatnot. Old fan did a little tribute video to the cat, which I thought, that was just really nice of her. And, people are very thoughtful, and I appreciate it, and such. I don't show my appreciation very often or do anything, but I could say thank you, but, it's kind of lame. But it's better than not even mentioning it, right? Probably. Ugh, man, the sun is nice, but God, I feel ill. It's killing me. It's like a bug being cooked on the asphalt or something. Yeah. Yeah, I just got to get over myself. Get into a routine. That's what I need, a routine. It's one of the cabbages came back nicely. It's flowering. It's going to flower. That's kind of hilarious. Hey, look at that, the forget-me-nots. I forgot I had them. Yeah, I forgot me nuts. I forgot me nuts. I used to have a ton of them. The whole thing would be covered with them. But I have failed dismally. My gardening routine. Yeah, used to be this whole row of them here. They used to all be all down this path. None. Look at that, hard. I got to do some work. Weeds everywhere now. Deers ate all my roses. Well, they didn't eat them all. They just trimmed them back. That's what they did. They trimmed them for me. There's the cat. Sun puddling. Anyway, I think that's all. Oh. Yeah. I think that's all. So till next time, and such.